can. So people who are coming in, still they can sit in the back. So our next speaker is Shamsa Ali. She's a teacher at Zenith Academy. She graduated from Houston Baptist University in Houston, Texas.
Sister Shamsa has a master's in education from Antioch, Alberta. She works in youth development in the greater Columbus area, such as leading youth halaqas and workshops. And today we have the honor of hearing her speak on the roles of Muslim men and women in marriage and family. You guys are in for a treat. Sister Shamsa is one of my personal role models, and I think she's going to share a fountain of wisdom with us, inshallah. Put your hands together for Sister Shamsa.
Bismillah. I hope I can live up to that beautiful introduction. SubhanAllah. May Allah make me what you think I am. So are we all back into, do I need this? Or are you guys recording? Do I need a microphone or can I put it down?
I think you'll be fine without.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. It's a great pleasure to be back again within a week in your presence, subhanAllah. I think I get rejuvenated every time I'm among the youth. That's probably why I'm always in the middle of you guys. Who knows? So can I talk a little bit about the previous talk about hijab and whatnot? I really love the question you asked. I think, personally, in my opinion, it's easier to judge when you are wearing or not wearing hijab. That's the only thing people are so hanged up on. Just like any, we want to show off. That's who we are as humans. That's in human nature. That's why we wear Coach bags or, Abercrombie & Fitch sweaters, so that we know who we are. And the hijab, unfortunately, is in the same category. I can easily judge you. See, our taqwa is not well mine. Because not only am I wearing hijab, I'm wearing a black one. So that's a different category. I don't think there's any merit to it, wallahu a'lam. But I think when I look at the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I look at the levels of Jannah. And I say to myself, okay, if doing this and sacrificing that in this life takes me to a higher level of Jannah, why not? So if you think about anything in that sense of ibadah, then inshallah ta'ala, your road to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be easy. And we often forget, and I think ignorance has a lot to do with it. We don't know our religion very well, but we often forget that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us Islam as a way of life is one part ibadah and two parts mu'amalat. Meaning what? Your connection between Allah and what you do as a servant of Allah, between you and Allah, is only one part. Two parts is your connection between you and the humans around you. Mu'amalat. How do you deal with the people? How do you take care of your children? How do you deal with your family? How do you deal with your neighbors? How do you deal with your siblings? That is what we need to focus on. And definitely Allah did not say in the Quran, the best among you is the one with the longest hijab or the blackest hijab. He said, the best among you is the one with the best taqwa. Taqwa meaning God consciousness, and we talked a little bit about that yesterday. There was a quote I was looking at before they changed the logo about women. Like the travesty of the century, I think, is how we treat women. And I think it takes two to tango. You know what they say? Women are victimized because they gave permission to be victimized, at least in my opinion. SubhanAllah. If you feel a sense of entitlement for education, then you will pursue education. If you feel a sense of entitlement for human dignity, then you will pursue that. But there are a lot of women that allow the men in their lives to mistreat them. for whatever reason, subhanAllah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us a lot about how to live our lives to be better people. He showed us, as a matter of fact, a lot of examples. How we dealt with women, how we dealt with children. It's all recorded in the collections of hadith that we have. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that our worst enemy is who? Our worst enemy, come on.
Shaitan.
Shaitan. Yes, and sometimes your nafs too. When it hangs out with shaitan, your nafs can be your worst enemy. But adu mubin, he says, the worst is shaitan. Now shaitan uses fear to pull you down. And a lot of women do a lot of things to themselves and to their families out of fear. Think about that. I'm afraid that I will lose my status being married to this beautiful guy who's very nice outside, but comes home and he's the meanest of the mean. But I will take that because I like the luxuries that he offers. I like the luxury, the status that I have in the community. Fear, subhanAllah. But Allah tells us what? Again in the Quran, that rizq comes from him. Not because you are CEO, rizq means sustenance, your daily bread comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not because you work hard to get it. We forget that. Because shaitan again makes us forget, and we dwell in ignorance and darkness too. So that's a little bit about the preface of what you guys were talking about earlier. We're talking about family and children and marriage. Questions about marriage? Anybody? Oh, did I not tell you this is an interactive thing? So think about all the questions you have. Everybody will be, inshallah ta'ala, I'll make you a dua that everybody will participate. And not one person will be quiet in here. So what is marriage? Especially now, come on guys. Are you not in America? What are we talking about? The institution of marriage. What's going on around you? Okay. What's going on around you in the institution of marriage? That's
The Supreme Court is deciding. The Supreme Court is deciding if gay people should be able to get married.
Yes. Think about that. The institution of marriage. Yes.
Okay, I want to ask a question. I want to know if I think marriage is by nature a contract, okay? And I want to know, so for you, so is marriage a divine contract or not?
It is a contract between you and God. In every book that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent, the Injil, which is in English is what? The Bible. The Quran, which in English is Quran. The Talmud, the Jewish Torah.
Okay.
Every book that God sent and every prophet that God sent to us, he told us specifically about, get together and reproduce. So the aim of marriage is reproduction and continuation of the humanity.
Now, how do you perceive the LGBT marriage? Lesbians, gays, bisexual, LGBT, transgender? Yeah.
Okay, I don't like mixing behavior with things. A lifestyle that I choose to lead should not be all over and should not be in everybody's face. That's my behavior. Well, so when I am as a Muslim, being put in a place where I have to hear this and talk and think about things that it's your business and I really don't care about what you do, I think that's oppressive a little bit, but that's my opinion. And some people call it, radical. But marriage is not between two men. Marriage is not between two women. Emphatically, categorically, no. Marriage is an institution, a divine right that a man and woman have to raise a family. And call it anything else. I'm not after you. Call it the union between sexes. Who cares? But do not use that word, because in every society that word means something. That's my opinion. What do you guys think?
It's interesting that we bring up this whole LGBT topic. somebody who's in the medical field, I'm constantly trying to remain sensitive to patients that do come in with various, different perspectives than I share. So, by law and by my personal beliefs, obviously I cannot, refuse care for someone who is gay or lesbian or transgender or bisexual simply because my religious beliefs differ. So this has allowed me to really think of the LGBT society from a different lens and a different perspective. So I started thinking and reflecting and saying, well, we have two sides to the story. Is it as a result of physiological genetic predisposition that you intrinsically feel that you are either in the opposite gender's body, in case of transgender, or that you are attracted to the same sex? And I kept thinking, well, God will not subjugate someone to something that is more difficult than they can bear. If this is something that is prohibited in Islam, then why would God make somebody predisposed to such a situation? Then we have the other side of the spectrum, which is an evolutionary thing as a result of our society. And I think that there needs to be more bridging between how our society affects our physiology. And I think this is as a result of the lack of research in neuroscience today that's not bridging the gap in this dialogue, in that the hypersexualization that we see in society, whether it's just hypersexualizing heterosexuality, in general, there is one type of theory, and I hope I don't offend anybody in this room, one type of theory that the hypersexualization is what is causing people to assume that they physiologically, intrinsically feel that they are gay, but that in fact it's as a result of the quote-unquote marriage or union of the environment and our body's reaction to this environment. The ability of our brain, it's interesting, the plasticity of our brain, our brain's ability to remodel itself anatomically, physiologically, and as a result, we all know our brain is our control system in our body, and when that changes, then that changes our hormonal output, various feelings as a result of that various hormones and chemistry, chemical makeup and neurotransmitters and such. So as a Muslim, to answer your question, really long preface there, I feel that there needs to be more studies on this, but what remains the law by God is that in Islam, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, we don't believe in the union of the same sex. We don't. But it's like, to me, the way at least I'm trying to kind of wrap it around my head, it's like any other test in life. It's a very difficult test. I mean, I can't even imagine having that test, trying to repress, certain emotions that you have that are extremely strong, but to repress them in an effort to abide by God's will and His commandments. So like any other test, for example, of a man who, just likes a lot of women, or a woman who likes a lot of men, as in Islam, it said that, we need to remain this, the sanctity of marriage, and that we can't just go around being a philanderer and, engaging in illicit sexual intercourse with whoever you will. There has to be this level of self-control, this sense of willpower. And I mean, modern psychologists are realizing that the two commonalities between successful people, they carry two traits, and that is intellect and willpower. They don't know how to, increase one's intellect just yet, but they know that willpower, in fact, can be trained and can be raised. If you guys like that topic, read the book Willpower by Ummah if you like it. But that's it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Jazakallah khair. You reminded me why I like science. It explains a lot of things.
I think that America in theory is supposed to be a country that separates state and law. So you cannot have your religious views, use that in the law. So if America in theory is saying that they're a country that separates state and law, and they preach equality, you have a separation between state and church. You have to be able to put away your religious views and think of it in a way where it's like, we say that we are preaching equality, but then there's these people who are trying to get equality, and you're using your religious views to deny them the equality.
What equality?
The equality in marriage. they're saying that they don't have the same rights as a man and a woman to get married.
But they are not a man and a woman.
But they're saying that, okay, so in the law it's saying that only a man and a woman can get married.
Yes.
But then where does that come from? That comes from religion. So if America is saying
No, it comes from the law. They filtered it, and you know, actually, okay, let's take a couple of steps. I love this. Do we have like 5 hours? let's take a couple of steps. Hold on. No side question. No side conversation. Please. So let's step back and know where these laws in America came from. They came from what?
the Bible.
Yes, religion. And they will tell you there is separation, but in their actions there is none. So you are looking at actions, not the words. So in the dollar bill, that's in God we trust. What happened to the separation? So this is just a way of making some churches make money so that they won't be come under the bracket of tax. So that's my little philosophy thing, and I don't know much about that. I'll come back to you. Going back to the scientific explanation, and there will be a lot of different theories coming out. Now, if you do not have the strong foundation of Islamic knowledge, you will end up following all of these things and getting confused in the process. Sinning is as old as Adam. And sinning can come in so many different ways and so many different forms. In my little humble opinion, I think following your will and doing what your desires are is a sin. And that includes having a relationship with a man when you are a man, because you want to. That's a sin. But lying is also a sin. You see what I'm saying? So that you choose to lie, but don't be bringing it out in my face and telling me, I want to sin, I want to go in a deviant way and take society in a way that really it's going to mess up, because we know what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah, right? So, but you have to accept me. Don't do that. Do what you want to do somewhere hidden, because I lie every day. God help me. You know, subhanAllah, I try not to. But when I'm talking and I'm saying in the general term, everyone in this room sins, right? But I'm not creating excuses. At the end of the day, wallahi, because Allah created us with a conscience, at the end of the day, the person that is fighting for gay rights or this rights and that rights will go home and know that he is in the wrong with himself when he's sleeping. Subhanallah. May Allah help us all. Say Ameen.
I think the issue with that, though, is that we're defining constitutionality in the framework of the Abrahamic faith's morality.
Yes.
And I think that this country has a framework of religious and moral, has myriad of religious framework and moralities in this country. So to define what is legal in the concept of what I as a Muslim or what a Christian or what a Jew thinks is moral or what is right is a very slippery slope, in that next we will have Christians who are the government defining we have differences in our faiths, and we have this commonality in homosexuality, but we have differences, and they might come out in defining what is constitutional. To limit the rights of this group within the religious framework of Christians and Muslims and Jews creates a limitation of rights, creates a possibility of a limitation of rights in other senses. You understand? Yes. We are a marginalized group in this country as Muslims. Mm-hmm. And to have Christians and to go along with Christians and say that this homosexuality is a sin and that it is not constitutional because we define it as a sin, creates this possibility of Christians saying that this is a sin, that being a Muslim is a sin, to limit our rights.
I think that is a very nicely put argument, but it's an argument based on a house of cards. It means nothing. And that argument, by the way, is out there. Religion is universal. It just has different names. Why? Because the ethics of our morality, we are built Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala built that in our hearts, to know right from wrong. Why do you feel worried when you do something wrong? Nobody taught you that. You come up with that. Even as little babies, they choose the goodness in things. There was a video I was watching about a Harvard program. They were trying to see, and talking about bullying, can babies understand when somebody's doing wrong or not? And they thought when you are over 12 months, you will know. But they did something as young as 3 months. And the baby chose time and time again the little puppet that did well, did better than the puppet that pushed people around. So we have, that shows us that we have an inbuilt something inside our heart to know right from wrong. And what I'm saying is, wallahi, I will never discriminate. If I'm a giver of services, I will never discriminate who does what, when, what. I will do as Allah commanded me to do, to the best of my ability, to be kind and to do the work that I have to do. But do not try to change me because I won't accept you. You are wrong. The same way I know I am wrong when I'm doing wrong. Don't make, some people equate the gay rights liberation movement, whatever, to the civil rights liberation movement. What? No, absolutely not. So, and I will not take that theory that says if we discriminate against them, they will discriminate against. No, I don't think that is a viable argument.
If you're a proponent of civil unions for these couples, then what is the issue with defining that as a marriage?
Hide what you do in the bathroom, in your bedroom. Nobody cares.
Civil unions not hidden.
Huh?
What the issue is whether or not defining, like giving federal benefits to these people in legally recognized marriages is if the federal government can deny them these federal benefits.
Okay, but do you know that you can get the same benefit in a different way with a different name?
They can.
They can.
No, they are in legally recognized marriage. That's what the Supreme Court is discussing, whether or not if they're in a civil union, they are not allowed these federal benefits. Versus in a marriage, they are.
But they are allowed if they go in there and they say, I want welfare and I'm a single man or a single woman. They will get it.
But I mean, like, as a married couple gets tax benefits, doesn't have to pay inheritance taxes. That's what the issue is with DOMA. So, or Defense of Marriage Act. So to deny them, they're already in a relationship. We can't deny them for them to be in a relationship.
No.
So as an American, I think it is our duty to propose that they have civil rights equal to everybody else.
Let them, but that's not civil. That's what I'm trying to tell you. There is nothing civil right about the situation. This is a behavior. This is what I want to do. It's like, then prostitutes will hire a lobby and say, hey, we have rights, we take care of some things, we need. Liars will hire a lobby and they will say, hey, we want to do this, it's innately in me. I like to lie a lot. But I have right though. It does not make sense. If you understand, I'm sorry, she had the hand up. And I'm about 5 minutes over my gay time already.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of shift the conversation.
Yes.
We hear like a lot that marriage is half your faith, but then we hear cleanliness is half your faith.
Yes.
And we hear like all these things are half your faith, and that's not like mathematically possible. So like, I know marriage is important, but I guess like why is it so emphasized in our communities, and why is it always that women should be married and have kids, and that's kind of the lifestyle that is expected of us?
It's not expected of you, it's good for you. That's what I'm trying to say. So let's go back to the half of the thing. I don't think there's half, the only hadith that I know is cleanliness is half of it. Then I can understand because there's hygiene involved and all these good things, and subhanAllah, Rasulullah 15 years ago was a revolutionary person when he was advocating for cleanliness and keeping epidemic diseases under control. So that's what I know. About going forth and multiply is just self-preservation. It's just the fact that we need to move forth until our prescribed time comes and our star goes supernova. But it's just part of our wanting to create.
May I comment on Nina's question? So you bring up a very good point, because when we're looking at all these hadith, it's like, you know, mathematically, like you said, it doesn't add up. But I think it's also important to note that there's a lot of figurative language embedded inside of the hadith. Have our deen doesn't necessarily mean that it's exactly 50.000 significant figures included percent of our deen. You know, from what I've learned about what marriage is supposed to do, okay, is that it refines your character and it tests your character at the same time. Because when you live with someone and this companion is somebody that has rights over you and you have rights over them, it really tests your faith. Really all it is. It tests, like, you get to see them in and out. Like, you get to see who they are down to their core. And they get to see you down to your core. So they really get to test your faith. And like Sister Shamsa had said at the very beginning, that it's your mu'amalat, that it's your the way that you interact with other people that is highlighted by God and the way, you know, that we live our lives, and that inherently helps us raise our level of faith in our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala based on how we interact with others. So that's kind of my perspective on what marriage does. And also, this is also a motivator and an inspiration for us to study our hadith better. You know, to have us actually, like, not just, you know, accept the language, the current transitory language, but understand ancient Arabic and what they meant by this, and really delve ourselves. I think if you have a question and you're critical about something, ask that question, get deep into that, and study it with people that are knowledgeable scholars that understand the deep intrinsic nature of that language, and go back to it and then truly appreciate it. And then you had another question too. Remind me again.
Oh, I said something about like how we're expected to get married and have kids and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
why do we have all these? Okay, like I said earlier in the talk, as women.
Maybe you should be here with
No. Sorry, I don't mean to overtake you.
No, you're not overtaking. Actually, you're enhancing.
I'm sorry, I talk too much. Just can't stop myself. In terms of women, like our soul, I don't know if you'd agree, Sister Shamsa, in that like our role is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah didn't say, you know, your role is to get married, your role is to have kids. No, He didn't say that. But like Sister Shamsa said, we all need companions. You know, we all get lonely. You know, but you know, let's be real. We're humans. I mean, we're social creatures. We've been made to want this type of thing, this desire to have companions. You know, we naturally have sexual desires. It's a natural thing. You know, and marriage is just a way, a halal way, a permissible way to express those types of feelings, so that we don't have social injustice rampant in society, where we have constant philandering, or we have constant, you know, who's my baby's daddy, you know, that's an epidemic. You know what I mean? That marriage helps, and marriage empowers people. You know, when you have that partner with you, you have that person you can rely on. Somebody, if they're following Islam, you know, you can rely on them, you can trust them. And in terms of procreation, like Sister Shamsa said, I mean, it's to, you know, to continue on with our society. You don't have to. You don't have to have kids. In fact, you can put it in your marriage contract. I know a good friend of mine who did that. She's like, I don't want to have kids. Her husband agreed to it, and they don't want to have kids, and that's totally permissible. You know? But I feel like I can speak for myself. Like, I have this intrinsic need to want to have a baby. You know, like this feeling of, okay, I just want to have a little baby. You know? And so I think it's like women, we have this feeling. Men have this feeling too. So it's just a normal, natural human thing, but it's nowhere in Islam does it say you have to get married and you have to have kids. But culturally, it's been pushed on us, and we just have to make it our own.
I think children are the hope for any society and any religion. So that's why we have this, you know. I don't think it's a must in terms of nobody is forcing you to do it. It's up to you and your husband. But after a while, even I would dare say that those friends of yours, there will come a time when the woman was so in love with her husband say, I want somebody with your nose. Oh, I want somebody, you know, that instinct, motherhood instinct will kick in, and they might break that contract that they had with one another. So let's ask the question, what is marriage? not with the lenses of what we just came from. Yes.
I always saw marriage as a union between souls, and whenever I hear people saying, like, on the path, I understand that that's a beautiful way to say it, but it also, I think we're whole without our companion, but once we find that person, I think it's a complement of souls, and this is going to be your life partner, and this is going to be the person that you pave your path with in this world, and inshallah, the hope is that you pave your path in the afterlife with this person, positive path.
Yes, inshallah.
And I don't know, I've always seen it as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala having this plan for you and finding somebody that complements you in that.
Yes. And that is the romantic idea of marriage. Really, it's very beautiful. Let's, forge a path to Jannah together in this life. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. What is marriage?
I mean, isn't it essentially, in an Islamic sense, a contract between male and female?
So she's suggesting it's a business contract between a female and a male. Okay, yeah, so there's the ideal side, the beauty of the love, the ethical, no, not the ethical, the word I'm looking for, aesthetical. Like, you can't touch it, but it's there, engulfs you. And then there's the business side of it, it's a contract, and it is, by the way, because you write out the contract in Islam. What else?
I mean, when I finally get married at some point, it's going to be me living with this man that's not my family, but is going to become my family, and like trying to figure out how to like live my life with him in consideration too.
Yeah. You said it perfectly, mashallah. It's a job. That's exactly what marriage is. It's a job. And I would suggest to all of your beautiful people here to really approach it as such. You go to work in your best clothes, you shower hopefully, your clothes are ironed, and you show your best at work. You do the work. Why? Because you want that, advancement, that extra money, whatever it is that you want. You are polite. You use your proper English, and all of these things. So if you approach your marriage like a job, you do what your role is, whatever that role you decide between you and your husband is, and you do it to the best of your ability without taking anybody for granted, without slacking off, without sleeping in, without doing any of these, without complaining. Do you complain at yeah, I hate those people that complain at their work. Yeah. The water fountain people that come together every 5 minutes, take a break and complain about such and such. But the people that are really productive don't complain. They get the job done. And that's what marriage is. Now, your worst enemy. Remember who he is? He had only one job all his life, and he's an expert in it in so many different levels. He has experience since the time of Adam to mislead you. He will come in and he will create all kinds of fantasies. Oh, he's cute. Oh, he's loving. Oh, I want romance in my life. I'm not happy. My husband didn't bring me flowers and chocolate on Valentine's Day. He didn't remember me so much. What? What is that? And then all of a sudden, I don't like you. I'm not cooking. Because that's my job, or the house is up. Sometimes when I hear people and I see grown people talk like children, say, are you serious? Are you about to raise some children too? With that attitude? Marriage is a contract. You have a right in Islam. The pagan Arabs, before Rasulullah came, used women as chattel, as things. And sometimes we see that in certain countries, that remnant of the cultural disdain for women is out there. But Islam brought women to the forefront. Rasulullah showed us how to treat women. And the hadith of your mother being 3 times above your father, in where she is your gateway to heaven, it's clear. So women have the power to make or break a marriage. That's my theory. What do you think? Okay, I'll give you a minute to think.
I disagree.
Why?
I don't think that women have the power to make or break a marriage because a marriage is between two people. So it takes both to make or break a marriage. Because there could be a woman who tries as hard as she can and is absolutely everything she's supposed to, but has a husband who's completely inadequate to her in every way possible, and then the marriage will easily be broken even though she is trying her best.
She's not trying her best if she thinks her husband is inadequate.
But you can't control how
You
people are.
think that it's between two people.
It is between two people.
No, why did you marry? Because you thought he was cute? Or his family had money? You married to fulfill Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's order. That's why you married, right? So there's always and always a third entity between you two. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you are doing your duty towards Allah to take care of your husband. And he's doing his duty towards Allah to take care of your his wife, right? There's no inadequacy after that. If he's striving to do for his Jannah, wallahi, there's no inadequacy in that. But is he looking at you? You didn't cook the best rice yesterday, so I'm not interested in that little thing that you wanted. If it's between you two, then there's definitely a problem.
You didn't say the marriage between two strong Muslims, though. I understand how the marriage between two strong Muslims would work out
We're
if they
talking
have
about
God as a
marriage.
third.
What is a strong Muslim? I'll come back.
To back up what Shemay was saying, I think that her point was to say that if one person
Oh wait,
was
she made a point. What's yours?
to add on to what she was saying that if, for example, the woman was, her point of getting married was to fulfill her duty towards Allah, but the guy wasn't, maybe, for example, their engagement period was too short, so they didn't really know each other, or she discovered something later on, or he discovered something later on, and it maybe not necessarily changed them, but it made her struggle in the marriage. She was working towards it. Maybe his faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wasn't as strong, so he kind of just wanted whatever. He just wanted somebody to cook for him to clean, and he wasn't satisfying those maybe religious aspects that she wanted, and therefore he wasn't working hard in the marriage. And I think that way it would be more likely for the marriage to fall apart if she was working to strive for Allah or to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but he wasn't. He was kind of just there.
Okay, so I see what you're saying, but you are also pointing the finger at him. He did not do his part, or the period that you were supposed to get to know one another didn't work out. You are in there to do your job, to take care of him as you promised and allow your witness from your heart, with sincerity, ikhlas, right? Hold on. And then he doesn't do whatever he's supposed to do. What do? You sabr. You say, okay, alhamdulillah, ala kulli hal. That's what Islam teaches you, right? And then you pray. Ya muqallibul qulub. Oh Allah, changer of hearts. Please, change his heart towards me. You don't do anything. You just do your thing. So you cook. So you clean. You don't complain. You raise children, but you pray at night. And guess what? Your husband says, I don't want to be with those boys. My wife really does very well thing. I will help her. You didn't do it. You think you did. Except for that Salatul Layl that you woke up, Allah changed. And then he wants to say, my wife is always on this halaqah. She is learning these things, and she's so much better. I want to go. Honey, do you know anybody that, I would like to learn this? And she will ask. And look at that. They're slowly traveling the path towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You see, that is what marriage is. Marriage is not between him and I. Marriage is between me and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I will do my job, and then when things come, Allah tells me in the Quran, Inna ma'al usri yusra. After hardship comes ease. So wait for the ease. If their hardship is this person that is just horrible to you, you pray. And then the beautiful thing about our religion is, we are not locked up into this relationship. If I think that this is it and I did my best, I will go to my wali and I say, listen, I don't think he's working out. I think I want out. And you are free to do that. Subhanallah. Look at all the hands. I like this. They're popping up. Can I give him a chance because he didn't talk.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. I just wanted to know what your idea then on the role of the husband would be. We've been talking about the wife the whole time.
Oh, hold on. You don't even know.
Okay, I was gonna say, what would you say then to a woman who has done everything she possibly can, yet she ends up in a relationship where she has an abusive husband, who it might be like a life-threatening situation, and praying and doing that isn't working out? Like you say like sabr and sabr, but it's like how much sabr can you stand before
Wallahi,
it's like
sabr is
dangerous?
miftah al-faraj, the opening, the key to goodness. So if I have to go through my life like this, and in Jannah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give me something better, so be it. But being in this area, there is no compulsion. If this is an act of religion, there is no compulsion in that. You know your safety. If you feel for 1 second that you're not safe in that, you move on. But if that is your end, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed that, you stay. See, it's all part of Iman. It's about how strong your Iman is. And your prayers are how strong your Iman is. You ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you believe Allah will help you. But you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you kind of like, maybe whenever you feel like it, kind of thing. It doesn't work like that. If you learn your religion and you understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in the Quran, He created us for struggle. So this life is a test. It's all about hardship upon hardship. And every once in a while, Allah will give you a light, some ease, a little bit of something. And even if you have all kinds of money and you think, most poor people think that money will answer all your problems. Oh, if I were rich, I will do that. I think most probably money is a problem. So even with rich people, they have no qina'ah, they have no contentment, they don't have a good heart in their lives. But when you are rich with Iman, every little bit, even when you're going through problems, your face is shining. You say to Allah, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, because you know there's something better out there. You know that. Not because somebody told you or a sheikh explained, but you know in your intimate being. And that is the difference between somebody that has a strong Iman and somebody that doesn't. Going back to marriage being a job, wallahi, Allah says in Surah Al-Rahman, what? You don't give ihsan? When you give out goodness, you get goodness back. And there's that adage in an American language, what goes around, comes around. So if you're always giving out goodness, do you think something bad will come back? And if something bad comes back, one day you'll say, okay, what is the test here? I'm about to be tested, I know. And you take it, you prepare yourself, and you strengthen yourself with your deen, and you have the patience to go through and the intellect to understand. We were talking about lying earlier. I have understood one thing, that the more somebody lies, the dumber that person becomes. Wallahi. You know why? Because somebody will stand in front of you and tell you lie, thinking that you are actually believing this. How dumb can that person be? A'udhu billah. And the more you tell the truth, the more Allah gives you wisdom. And all of a sudden, things are clearer. Problems can be easily solved. Things come to you. That's why Allah tells you, tell the truth in the Quran. He doesn't tell you, tell the truth because there are good things ahead of you if you do. He tells you, just tell the truth. Why? Because you have a will. You can choose. And if you do choose, because why do we lie most of the time? To make ourselves look good. Right? You are late for an appointment because you slept late, because you don't feel like going, and you're, oh, I'm sorry, the children had fever, and the babysitter was late. That's a lie. Because you don't want that person not to like you if you tell the truth. So, a'udhu billahi min shaitan rajim. I always categorized all my life. Why am I saying it? Is it self-aggrandizement, to make people like me, to make myself bigger? Or it's actually necessary? There's no lie that's necessary unless somebody's about to kill you. Are you Shamsa? No. Straight up saying, no. I think she just left. But the rest of them are just to make yourself feel good or to make other people like you. At the cost of what? Me losing hikmah, wisdom, not understanding what's going on? No. Usman bin Affan used to say to his people, do two things, just two things. Tell the truth and do good deeds. That's it. Think of how easy your life is. Just try it. Today, inshallah, my job is to convey this to you, each and every one of you. Do good deeds. It can be picking up something off the floor and tell the truth. Try it for 1 week and you see how your life changes. Now, the job of the husband. And I'm not done with the job of the wife yet. I'm coming back to it. Husband's supposed to take care of all of my whimsical needs and wants. Everything. I want to talk to you. I want to chat. Come on. I want this. I want that. And he would say, okay, sweetie, anything you want. That doesn't work, right? In Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us a right for maintenance, to be taken care of. It can be as simple as clothing allowances, food allowances, shelter allowances. Or it can be extravagant as, land ownership, cars, and whatever it is that my heart desires. It depends on the husband. He can be extremely rich and just not give you anything, which is his right, except for what Allah prescribes. Or he can be very poor and